Hey friends, welcome to this guided exploration and integration of gut intelligence. Something I want to set up before we get started is gut intelligence can be elusive for many people actually. So I'd like to share this because as we go through this experience, if you find that you're not easily able to access this sense of gut intelligence, and don't worry, you're not alone, and it's actually quite normal, especially if this is your first time trying to access this intelligence, or if it's not part of your regular practice. So if you find resistance, or if you find that you're not able to access this, I would just encourage you to come back to this a couple times over this next week or so, and I think you'll find that things will start to open up for you. Gut intelligence is something I feel is super important to have a relationship with and have integration, because this deeper sense of gut intelligence is a space of digestion. And not just the digestion of food, but also the digestion of our experiences, of the information that we take in through our senses. It's also a place of motility, meaning action, movement, or even the lack of movement. So sometimes if we feel highly motivated or if we feel deeply unmotivated, that can be something to do with our gut intelligence. Many people recognize that deeper sense of self within the gut space. Also, people will get their sense of intuition from this gut space often. So as you can see, there's lots of different things that come from this gut intelligence. So having integration and having connection to it can be very powerful for us, not to mention the many physical health benefits it has too, to have a healthy relationship to the gut. So let's just jump in because I've talked enough. Let's start by simply starting to take notice to the breath and getting the body into a comfortable seated or standing position. And as you start to tune into the breath, just tune into the current pace of the breath, the depth of the breath, the texture of the breath, meaning does it feel smooth? Does it feel rough or restricted? And at this point, there's nothing to judge, nothing to change. We're just taking notice of the current state of the breath. So take a few breaths and just really feel into what does the current state of the breath offer us before we start to modify it. Then let's go ahead and start to calm the breath now. So allow the breath to become a bit slower and softer. We also want to just be breathing through the nose if possible. If you have restriction in the nose and you have to do a little bit of mouth breathing, that's okay. But if possible, sticking with nasal breathing here. And we'll really let this breath just become gentle and soft and quiet. And if you just start to bring your attention to the exhale, with the exhale, make sure that the exhale has a sense of length to it, and make sure that it feels complete. So we're not stopping the breath short before it is complete. Definitely don't push anything on the exhale, but just make sure that you're not rushing to the inhale. And then the inhale, we're just allowing whatever comes back into the body, we're just allowing that to come back in. So again, here we don't want to rush the inhale, and we also don't want to pull on the inhale to try to get a deep breath. So just focus on the exhale, make sure that the exhale has length to it, and then allow what comes back in for the inhale. With this nice calm breath, let this breath start to drop you into the awareness within your body. And with each breath, let the body just continue to soften. So the inhale softens the body, and the exhale also softens the body. We want to keep a sense of aliveness within the energy of the body. So we don't want to get sleepy here. We don't want to get too tired or dull. So let the body soften, but keep the energy feeling alive within you. And as the breath just helps us to draw our attention deeper inside the body, also letting the breath drop deeper into the body. So if you're feeling the breath more in the upper chest, see what you can do to create space so that it can drop down, maybe into the lower portion of the ribs, maybe into the back of the ribs more. And if you're feeling this in the ribs and into the low ribs and into the diaphragm space, see if you can allow it to drop deeper into the belly space, into the low back, into the low side ribs. And then just let this breath start to form a really even pace in, even pace out here. So you don't have to necessarily count this, but what we want to create is this waveform of sorts that has an equal pace in and an equal pace out. And although the natural breath often has a pause after the exhale, don't worry about the pause here. Just find a nice rhythm that the exhale flows naturally right back into the inhale, and then the inhale flows naturally right back into the exhale. So we're creating a coherent breath here, which keeps the nervous system more in a coherent space, meaning we're not trying to get too tired and sleepy, but we're also not trying to get activated. And we'll start with bringing our attention first into heart space, because this is a somewhat familiar place for many of you, is to find that heart center. So if you bring your attention inward and specifically bring the attention to that heart center space and tapping into the intelligence of the heart, which would be compassion, empathy, loving kindness, connection to yourself, connection to others. And just feeling into whatever sensation that brings forward within that heart space and checking in and connecting to that sense of compassion, empathy, kindness, warmth, whatever it is for you, as a great resource to hold as we drop into the belly space. And start to let the focus and attention drop further down into the body, away from the heart space, carrying with it that sense of compassion, that sense of empathy or warmth that you're carrying from the heart space. And as you start to allow the attention to drop deeper into the body, just notice if you come across anything that feels restrictive. So as you drop further into the body, if you do come across a space that it doesn't feel like you can move past, stay at that place and just breathe to it. And allow this sense of compassion or empathy or loving kindness that you generated within that heart space first, just allow it to be present within that spot that you're starting to feel the resistance or restriction or blockage. If you're not feeling a sense of blockage or restriction, continue to allow the focus and attention to drop deeper within the belly space. And not just into the belly space, but really into the entire lower abdomen, because we want to speak to the entire enteric system here, which that system occupies a lot of space within the lower abdomen. once you start to connect to this space, let's first just take stock of what do we first find here. So, what does it feel like there? Does it feel warm? Does it feel cool? Does it feel neutral? Does it feel open? Does it feel closed? Do you feel a sense of energy or movement within that space, or does it feel still? Does it feel alive, or does it feel a bit dull? And because we're looking at a greater space within the body, there might be a difference from side to side, front to back, even in particular spaces where some aspects of it feel open and feel like there's a flow, and maybe some areas actually feel more blocked or inaccessible. And again, nothing to judge, nothing to push, nothing to really do here. This is just a space of observation. Also take notice if any visuals are happening for you. Do you start to see shapes, colors, textures, any type of movement within that space? And you don't have to attach to it. You don't have to try to figure out what it is or why it's there. It's just observation. And even if words or concepts, statements start to come through, just notice them, acknowledge them, and then let them pass for now, because we don't want to get too attached to anything that's coming up at first. So for today, we're going to focus in on the energy of this space. So what does the energy currently feel like within that entire gut space? Does it feel more electrified? Does it feel alive? Does it feel free-flowing? Or does it feel a bit stagnant? Does it feel blocked? Does it feel slow or dull? And if different areas within this low abdomen space, if different areas feel different, where perhaps one area feels very open, one area feels more dull and closed off, that's fully okay. What we'll invite our attention to first is any areas that feel very alive, very open, like there's a flow of energy actually happening, or a movement of energy of some sort. And as you bring your attention to this space of moving energy, flowing energy, once again, just tune into how would you identify that energy? Does it feel like it's flowing through you? Does it feel like it's vibrating? Does it feel like it's shining bright? Just try your best to tune into that energy. What does it feel like? Even what does it look like? Does it have a visual aspect to it? And as you observe it, just welcome that energy. Give it a space of embrace, nurturing, where we're actually holding the energy as something supportive and welcomed within the body. And as you do that, you might just naturally notice that it starts to expand and it starts to open up and it starts to move. If it doesn't do that naturally, create that invitation for the energy to start to expand, for it to start to move to other places within the abdomen, within the gut space. And specifically try to move it to these places that maybe you didn't feel as open. Maybe they felt more dull, perhaps they felt blocked or inaccessible. And just like we did as we dropped from the heart space downward, if you come up against a space that feels resistant, that the energy wants to flow to, but it doesn't seem as if there's a openness to that energy, no forcing here, no pushing, just allow the two to sit next to each other. So allow that energy that you feel that is alive, that has movement to it, just allow it to sit right against the space that feels as if it's resistant. And just see if that space that feels resistant or feels dull can start to open up and invite in more of this energy that feels more free-flowing. And again, if it doesn't seem like this is happening right now for you, it is absolutely okay. And today, in this first attempt, we don't have to get the entire space to integrate and open, but even just a slight shift, even a slight opening is really beneficial. So if you're starting to feel some things open up, just continue that expansion and allowing the energy to flow to new spaces, to invite new spaces in. And start to feel these different compartments or spaces or fragments that are happening within this gut space to become more integrated with this energy. So allow this energy to create a sense of wholeness within the abdomen, within this gut space. And as you do this, just check back in with your breath. Make sure that the breath is still moving slowly, softly, making sure that the exhale is coming out complete, long, no restriction. And then the inhale has a gentleness where it just comes back in with ease, no pulling, no pushing, just a sense of ease and a nice rhythm, even pace in, even pace out. And to help the energy continue to move and integrate throughout this belly space, use the breath to help. So invite the breath into that space with the energy. Breath is energy. So allow the breath to continue to become part of this integration. And then as you start to integrate, what happens to the energy for you? There's no right, there's no wrong here. But what does this sense of integrated energy feel like for you personally? For some people, it feels like a flowing movement through the entire abdomen. For some people, it might feel like a ball of energy that's just glowing and oscillating. For some, it can feel like a spiraling or circular sensation. And for some, it feels more like a liquidy water, and for some, it feels more electric. So just notice what this is for you, so that it can become something that you can quickly access, something that you become familiar with for yourself. And you can also tune into any visuals that support this. So if you're seeing colors, textures, shapes, any type of visual that represents the movement or motion of the energy, taking notice of that to help to become more integrated, more familiar with this space. And for now, we're just integrating and absorbing the energetic information that comes from this space. We're not concerned about specific messages. So if you do get messages, if you're getting something that's coming forward, like words or thoughts that are coming up from this gut space, by all means, take notice to them. Just don't become too attached to them for this moment. Just keep redirecting the focus and awareness back to this energetic aspect within the belly space. The energy will be the part that helps with integration, especially for those of you that have had any type of injury to the enteric system, the gut. If you have had surgeries, if you have had, gastrointestinal issues, this reintegration of the energy within this space is really essential. So if you would like to continue to sit with this sensation and continue this integration further, you can just gently reach out, hit the pause button on whatever you're listening on, and once you are ready to continue to finish up this exploration, you can hit play again. So if you would like to continue, go ahead and reach out and hit pause. And for those of you who are ready to come out of this, just start to let this energy expand past the gut space. So let it start to work into the rest of the body, out into the legs, out into the upper portion of the abdomen. It can expand out into the arms, out into the hands, further out through the legs, into the feet, all the way up into the top of the head. As you feel that energy and move from the gut space out into the rest of the body, even letting the energy come to the surface of the body, so starting to feel it in the surface of the skin. And as you feel it into the surface of the skin, allowing that to bring our awareness and attention even to the space around our body, the room that we are sitting in. And if it feels right, as we start to bring ourselves back into attention, just showing some gratitude to the body, specifically the gut space, for allowing us to access what we could access, and becoming part of our wisdom. And then as you're ready, you can start to very slowly and gently let the eyes start to come open. And sometimes it feels good to just lightly blink the eyes as they start to come open. As you come back fully into this space around you, feeling integrated, feeling the energy from that gut space, the invitation here, if it feels right, is to grab a journal and just start to write out what your experience was here. If there were specific messages that came up, this is your time to jot those down. And this is the time now that you can start to process a bit of your experience. You can ask, I wonder what that was, and be curious without needing to know. So, again, especially if you've had any challenges with this space of the enteric system, the gut, any types of surgeries, injuries, gastrointestinal issues, this could take a little bit of time to find reintegration. I would highly encourage you to come back to this type of exploration, meditation, whether it's this one that's a guided meditation or just doing this on your own frequently until you start to feel that movement and integration within that space. Because as I mentioned at the beginning of the meditation, this is an area of really great wisdom for us. And I know for myself what it's been like to be detached from this intelligence and what it's done for me to reintegrate it into my wisdom. So I really thank you all for listening and being part of this. And if you do have any questions, you can easily find me on both Instagram and Facebook, and I would love to hear from you. Reach out with any questions. Take care, and I'll talk to you again soon.